Alright, for problem 2 here, let's again use both methods so you can better see how they work. And in this case, the bow tie method's actually going to be a lot better, but we'll get to that shortly. Alright, so same idea. We draw this, we draw our first triangle, and what we know is that sine is a negative. So actually, let's draw the whole bow tie here. So sine is negative here and here. So these are the two triangles I'm looking at in cosine and tangents area. So negative 3 over 4. Let's erase that to have a little more room again. So the negative 3 must be the downside. The hypotenuse never gets the negative. So negative 3 over 4 and negative 3 over 4. So we draw those, and then we can find the missing side of that right triangle very easily. We take 16 minus 9, and we get root 7. It's going to be negative on this side and positive on this side. So what we have now set up is our bow tie triangles that we need, the two that we need. So to find cosine, we're going to go to, and again, cosine where sine is negative. So we look at cosine, we get root 7 over 4 from our first triangle, and then in the second one we get negative root 7 over 4. We do need to come back, because one of those answers doesn't make sense. We come back up to here, and they said that we are between pi and 3 pi over 2 radians. That's 180 to 270. So we're actually going to get rid of this answer of that triangle because that's from 270 to 360. It doesn't fit the range that they said we should be in. So we're only looking here in this problem. So that was our negative answer, so we keep that as answer 1. And that's for cosine theta. For tangent, we're still looking in the same area, this area here, and we're doing opposite over adjacent. So opposite is negative 3, and adjacent is negative root 7, so that's going to be 3 over root 7. The reason we're getting a positive answer there is because this is tangent's area, so tangent should be positive. Cosine is negative because, again, it's tangent's area, only tangent is positive. So there we have the bow tie method. If you didn't want to use the bow tie method, we can still use the same method as before. The problem is a little trickier though. So we do sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. In this case, sine squared is going to be 9 over 16 plus cosine squared equals 1. Subtract, we end up with 7 over 16 equals cosine squared. And the problem is we can get cosine squared equals root 7 over 4 plus or minus. And then we have to figure out that why, is it which one? And that becomes a more difficult problem without a calculator to determine that we don't want the positive. The way to remember it is still with cast, to know that cosine should be negative because we're in tangent's area, so that's why we're only going to keep negative root 7 over 4. Tangent becomes harder to do, because actually it's not that bad. So we have tangent equals sine over cosine. So tangent equals, our sine value was negative 3/4. Our cosine value is negative root 7 over 4, and then you just have to simplify that fraction. And when you do that, of course, you're going to get 3 root 7 for tangent like we got on the other side. So both methods work. It's up to you. I would recommend having an understanding in both, though.